Welcome. Hi, this is Carol Mixon from SkillCheck, and today we're going to be talking about the sales inquiry process and the response time. So let's just dig right into this because it's so important. And I guess what's the expectations that customers have about a speed of response is probably going to surprise you. This whole webinar will, I think, because most storage operators aren't that good at, giving kind of a quick kind of return for information that's requested. So, but great sales and service teams really work on both the speed of replies and the delivery of more than the customer expected. So that is really important to think about. And that's why we're addressing this topic now. So sales response time really does affect the customer's experience. But the question is, what do customers really want? Well, the important part here is that, to any kind of delays, they don't want to see that. They want a quick response from any kind of interaction that they have via the computer. And those delayed responses might actually lead them to go somewhere else if you're not responsive. And if your competitors are, they have an advantage. The other thing is that first impression. The first time that they get on there and they interact with you via your website, it's really important, the speed of your response. Even offering forms that have a really good impression and not just something misspelled that you send in an email, a really prompt reply can really demonstrate that professionalism, the attentiveness that you have to your business and your customers, and just a commitment to customer service. The other thing to think about when you're thinking about how you're going to do this process, right? What are the customer's expectation? Well, let's look at some of the statistics, the email or the phone response times for companies, because 78% of customers buy from the company that responds to their inquiry first. I mean, that right there should be a huge red flag that if you're not doing it quickly, then you're losing customers or potential customers, right? At least you're losing that lead. Also, you're 21 times more effective when calling within 5 minutes of the prospect's first contact, opposed to calling after 30 minutes. 21 times, that is huge, especially with the expense of leads and just the cost of getting them into the store, and they can't be wasted. So the leads are so expensive now, especially if you're using other services and ways to get the cost of your website, all of that. It's important that you don't waste these leads. So the lead response is really important. And it's hard to overstate that of the importance of it, because this lead response times, there's no matter what the size of your property, it really doesn't matter. Customers don't know how that, if you have 20 units or if you have 2,000 units, right? A quick sales lead response time leaves a more positive impression on potential renters. That quick response to those leads is really important for your brand and that company loyalty that you're going to have with the customers. Also, you can differentiate your company from your competitors and gain an advantage and that edge that you're going to need with that quick response. If you're quicker than someone else, you could get the rental. So if you look at lead times, there's sort of a 5-minute rule. Now, I can guarantee you in self-storage, I bet there's maybe only a very small percentage of managers who have this 5-minute rule, because they're probably not necessarily at the computer all the time, or at their, with their phone, cell phone, or tablet, or whatever they're using to communicate with customers. If you're only working with the PC that's at the property, that may not be the quickest and easiest. That's why if you have it on multiple devices, a way to respond to customers' leads, then that is really helpful. But that 5-minute rule, when you think about this, the odds are contacting the increase 21 times within 5 minutes versus 30 minutes. So if you're measuring these phone calls, 43% of all search-related conversions happen over the phone, which is important, right? Because even though they're searching on the internet, they're still calling in. And 65% of businesses consider the phone calls their highest quality leads. So again, even though, and I know some managers are like, oh, they'll call back. No, no, they won't call back. They'll go to the next person, the next company that they see. They're not going to wait and unless for some reason they just wanted to talk to you, or you're the only place in town that they could go to. So I think that you want to be very careful with that. So, and do you measure your phone calls? 43% of all search related conversions happen over the phone, and 65% of businesses consider the phone call their highest quality lead. So, timing is everything. 63% fail to respond in 1 hour. That's shameful, right? That's a huge number. 24% fail to respond in 1 day, and 23 fail to respond at all. And I guess that's the worst one of all of this. The data that we're looking at here is basically from all different kinds of companies. It's not just self-storage, so you can keep that in mind. Now, the ideal lead time for self-storage. Based on research, the ideal time is 5 to 10 minutes. And after receiving a lead, if the prospect, the storage customer, doesn't get a call or a text within 5 minutes, they'll go to a competitor. And that's just the reality of it. What are the touch points for a response? The website or the internet inquiry is one of the first touch points. Your email is another one. Someone emails you. It could be a phone sales call. It could be the customer just left a message for you, whether you have an answering service or they just left it on your machine at the office. So these are all touch points. You want to make sure that it's just not, you're not thinking, oh, it's just the internet. It's the internet, it's the phone, everything. With the mystery shopping we do at SkillCheck, there are many times that we call and call and call to storage properties and they don't answer. And we're trying to get them on the phone. But if we're trying to get them on the phone and the customer's trying, none of us are getting through. So it's really important to make sure you're watching those things and how long it's taking these answers, in whether it's their phone call or the internet inquiry. When you look at customer service response time, if based on like the responses from 1,000 companies, they said the fastest response time is a minute. And if you look at that, that's pretty amazing. That means someone's right on top of it, someone is watching it constantly, and it's not going anywhere bad, right? So, but look at the next 12 hours to 10 minutes. That's a pretty big number. Average response time. That's kind of sad, right? Slowest response time was 8 days. So, man, I think we as an industry need to work on our response times and get it down to where it is a minute or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, something in that area, not even going to the hours. I think the hours are just too far away, especially if you're in a competitive market. So how do we improve the lead times? Well, first, it's going to be monitoring the times that we are doing now. I mean, if you ever want to improve at something, you have to just keep at it. But whether it's on the phone or your website, you're going to have to look at those lead times and watch those and work on them and try to work on improving them. Those statistics are super important. So get a kind of a target response time that you want for your staff. Or if you're at the store and you're the manager, say, hey, we want to respond within 10 minutes, or, find that sweet spot that you think is doable, and maybe even see if you can beat it. If it's 30 minutes now, try to get it down to 15 or 10, because that's going to really help the number of rentals that you get. And again, some of you may be full and others may not be full with your occupancy. But I will tell you, if you've got a new storage property, this is critical. You have to be really good at these lead times and getting better at selling and just great on the phone. So the most important attribute of this customer experience, look at the fast response time. This was a study done. It said consistency across all channels, knowledgeable staff 52, clear, consistent messaging 46, a person to speak with. That's a biggie for me, but it's only 37 with customers. Multiple contact points 28%. Easy to use tools for service, and again, they don't always want to talk to someone. So we have to, build in some of these things to really help in self-storage and not just one thing. And I want you to remember, even though you may have a few, not have very many complaints that come to you. There are customers that complain, and there are many more that don't complain. So 1 in 26 customers actually complain, the rest say nothing. So if you are hearing complaints, especially at your home office or even in your office, and that means that even though they'll, like, for example, someone comes in and says that your gates, your gate thing doesn't work, and every time I put in my code, I have to put it in 3 or 4 times, or it like lifts up and it doesn't come down right, or what, there can be a whole plethora of things they could be complaining about. But if one customer is complaining about it, that's probably because there are many others at your store that just don't complain about it, but it makes them mad, and they may move out because of it. I certainly have had people move out because of poor managers, something not working right at the property, not getting in the hours they were supposed to be set up for, all kinds of things like that. Let's talk about making that response time a priority, because again, if we look for that first 30 minutes, that's important, but 20 would even better. And man, if we can get to that 10, that's certainly a competitive advantage you have there. But 5 minutes is going to give us the best impression. Now, the reality is, if there's one person at the storage property, we may not be able to do that, right? We may have an issue with that. So I'm back to, if you don't have a manager, you have a call center, you have something else backing up the cost of those leads coming in from your website or just, any advertisements you're doing. But if you respond quicker than your competitors, you do have a higher chance of renting, obviously, because you have them on the phone. But I think if the phone rings, it's better to have someone in the office answering it. Again, you want to look at that customer retention and the trust that you build with them, and that competitive advantage by just answering it quicker and quicker. So improving that response time. Well, how do you do that? Well, first off, I think if we do it well, we're going to outshine everything else our competitors are doing, right? But one, it can reduce customer frustration, right? Even potential customers calling in, like I've heard this, I've called 3 times and no one answers. And that is frustrating for sure. And it really helps us exceed customer service expectations when renting from a company. If you're on it and you're on top of those responses, and whether it's coming in by email, or if it's coming in on the phone, or however it's getting to you, you've got to be on top of it and make it quick. And interestingly enough, this may be our best way to outshine our competitors. When you think about, okay, wow, my store's not as nice, or I don't have this, or I don't have that. Man, you have you. I'm saying, like, managers, sometimes I know that there are so many people that want to go without a manager, but when I've had great managers, that store has flourished because of that manager, because the manager is so amazing and responsive to everything that's going on. So be careful and interact and make these response times as quick as possible for all, inquiries, whether it's a new customer or your current customers. Super important. And really, employees are responsible for all the online sales inquiries. So when you're thinking about that, think about what information your managers are sending to a prospective customer. If it doesn't look good or it's not timely, we can check that at SkillCheck. We will calculate the times from when the information is sent out to the prospective customer, receiving the manager's response. So we can help you with that also if you want some response time feedback from our service. But remember that, let's see, so I lost a lead, big deal, right? I know some managers that exact wording has been said to me, and the big deal I thought was a little over the top, but yeah, so I lost a lead, not big deal. We're almost full, or whatever. It's the interesting thing about all of this is sometimes managers don't think about certain things in self-storage, and the average length of the tenancy in self-storage is a little over 6 months. Now, the older your property is, it's going to probably be much higher than that, but a fairly new property, you're going to have like a 6-month average. Multiply for example, rental rate for the size the customer is renting, and multiply that by 6, which is average length of stay that the customer stays. So if you have a 10 by 10 and it's $180 a month, your that sale, the potential loss of the sale is $1,080. So when you're picking up that phone, it's $1,000 call. And it really affects how well you do is when you think about how much you can improve the store by just being better on the phone and giving better service and being quicker at any of this lead interaction that you have, whether it's on the phone or whether it's via your computer. You want to make sure you're all over it, because it makes a huge difference of whether someone goes to someone else or they come to you. And again, that includes your sales skills. So I want to offer a couple of different things. So don't miss out on a variety of things that we do here at SkillCheck for Training. We have an open mic virtual roundtable coming up. And that's on Marketing 101. We're going to be talking about that with some people from some specialists and experts that I use also. Lemonade Stand, they're amazing people and they do so much. I love their name. It doesn't really tell what they do, so it's awesome. So I like that. SkillCheck, I kind of just thought that made some sense. But think about this also, if you're effectively handling customer questions and objections, it's going to make you better. And anything that you can learn from, and again, we have all kinds of things on our YouTube channel. Go there and look at some of the different things. And if you have any ideas for us that you would like, or maybe things you'd like us to tackle as far as topics, please let me know. You can contact me at carol@skillcheck.com, or I have an 800 number there. You can get a hold of me. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much. I have been missing for a while. I had a hip surgery, so I'm back in business, and I'm excited for the new year and another year in self-storage that may be a little tougher than we've had in the past, and which only makes us better when we practice and improve what our salesmanship is and what we're doing on the phone and in person, and obviously with following up on our leads. So look forward to speaking with you and hopefully see you at a show or one of our other webinars. Thanks a lot and happy renting.